Alright, right now I am parked beside the road here to pick some maple blossoms from this beautiful maple tree back here. Let me show you what they look like up close. So you can actually eat this, and I just had a taste actually. I think it's probably an acquired taste depending on if you like sweet things or yeah, it depends on what your taste buds are like, but I actually really enjoyed these. This is for me. Oh, and baby also wants to have some. Here you go. For me, they are like a mix of broccoli and cabbage, but better, like a fresh green, almost like a salad in your mouth mix, if you can imagine all those things coming together. So I'm going to pick a couple from this tree and take home for us to eat fresh. Well, how I pick it is I pull the branch toward me, and these branches are kind of moving, possible to move around easily. And then I just pinch the top right around where these little knobby parts end, and then I take them home. Now I should add here that these have actually kind of stretched out already. We're kind of at the end of the season here. At the beginning of the spring, they are usually a little bit more clumped up together. But I don't actually know if I prefer the taste now or earlier in the season. I actually think they taste better to me now, although some people may like that more bold flavor at the beginning of the season. But yeah, if you can find any maple blossoms in your area, you can go and pick them and try them in your salads. I love them actually. I wish I could keep them. And I think I remember a forager saying that you could freeze them and eat them throughout the year, so if you like them that much. But again, depending on your taste, you may or may not like these. Also interesting I read about the maple tree is that you can eat these little leaves that are currently coming out. I'm going to try to show you what those look like. And they have apparently a little bit of a maple taste while they're young and small like this. And then they also used to take the bark and grind that up for flour or something that you can make soups a little thicker with. So the maple tree, very prolific and edible. Now these are horsetails. It produces two kinds of types. So you get the fertile shoots and you get the vegetative shoots. The fertile shoots are brown like this, and the vegetative shoots are green little bushy, ferny kind of looking things. Sometimes they're together and sometimes they're not, so you can have a look out. But the vegetative shoots are very juicy. There's some water content in there, and apparently pretty plain when eaten raw, so people would cook them with butter or garlic or just something else to give some flavor. These little fern-like looking vegetative parts of the plant. Use mama's hat. Yeah. These vegetative parts of the plant is more like a tonic, apparently quite sharp. So people usually dry them for teas, and it can be very beneficial for skin, bones, your hair, and also I think bladders and kidneys, things like that. So you could use this for a tea, probably not so good just to eat directly like this. Both types of this plant is so good for you, again, just like all food in nature was intended to be. Now very interesting, we're finding lots of these horsetails beside the stinging nettle. So over here we've got this nettle plant which is growing kind of low to the ground. Wonderfully medicinal, very healthy for you, but you definitely don't want to touch it because you will really regret. I believe it's itchy and burny and just not a good thing. So when people are picking these, they're usually wearing long sleeves, long pants, gloves on their hands, and you can take this home and make some delicious food with it. Actually, I recently heard of a recipe. I believe it was some kind of Persian cooking where they had it in a rice. Once you cook the leaves and the stinging nettle is off, the plant can be consumed. I drink it as a tea usually, so I'll dry the leaves for that. But this is definitely a really good plant that you want to be on the lookout for in your area right now in spring, especially for us here in the Pacific Northwest, usually in shady areas. So behind me here is a big tree which is providing some shade over here and allowing this to be growing in this little grassy area. We also see this over there because there's a lot of shade back there. This is stinging nettle. You can look out for this too now. Now some plants I'm keeping my eye on that are not quite ready for harvest but will be soon, or is one that I'm really interested in, includes this plant right here with the pink flowers. This is salmon berries. We usually get a really dark red one and an orange variety. I'm not really sure what the type names are, but this is a delicious berry. Kind of looks like a raspberry once it's out. Not as sweet, but definitely a beautiful, great berry to be having, and really holds its shape when you pick it. So this is one you want to look out for. So another plant that I'm keeping an eye out for is this right here, the elderberry plant, which right now in the springtime kind of looks like this. It's got these white little clusters that are coming up and will turn to a kind of dark blue purpley berry, which we will harvest at the end, probably end of summer, fall-ish time, and make some elderberry syrup for the winter. So this is a plant I'm keeping my eye on. I figured while I'm out here I'd give you a quick update on the garden. Looking lovely, and I'm so pleased that finally we have these little buckwheat seedlings sprouting up, which I planted 2 weeks ago, and we were hoping that they would beat the weeds, and they didn't. But they're coming up now, which is super exciting. So they will cover the ground really quickly here. It can flower in 6 weeks, so we will catch it before it flowers, chop it all down, and that will be our ground cover so that the weeds don't come through. And then we'll just transplant our little seedlings in between them. That's the hope anyway. But I'm finally so happy to see some progress on our buckwheat coming up. Now what we have done to beat the weeds this year, which just grow wild, obviously because we're in a big field with dandelions, but specifically buttercup, which we are trying to stop. What we did this year is take a sod cutter and pick up all the grass around our beds here. I'm gonna try to put the camera down and give you a better view. But we have taken this grass and we are going to just flip it around like this, which has cut the initial growth of the weeds right here and just given it kind of a clean edge. We're hoping this is just a temporary solution for right now, and then we'll probably, I don't know what we're gonna do in future. We just rent here, so we can't really do too much about throwing down anything else to keep, you know, the grass and the weeds at bay, but this is our current solution and I think it'll work for right now.